Hey friends, so today I have a pretty big topic that's super important, and it's not only affecting us directly and many other people in my state directly, but soon it will be coming to a state near you. I guarantee it. So let me back up a little bit and maybe paint a little picture for you. Now, I have some notes with me today because I just didn't want to try to forget anything, because as I was trying to prepare for this video, my mind just kept racing with all these different thoughts and ideas, and well, let's just dive into it. So, little by little, different things are disappearing, as in our rights. So, we had rights about rights about looking like this all the time. Our kids in school with CRT, sexuality. It's really good versus evil, some would even say. And now, in my state of Oregon, in less than 30 days, yet again, more rights are going to be leaving. And these rights are starting in Oregon, but I guarantee you that unless something changes within the courts, it's going to go to other blue states and others, and it will spread like the worst infection ever. What I'm talking about is something I mentioned in a video a couple of weeks ago, and it's about Measure 114. This measure is going to take effect in my state in less than 30 days. Now, due to our line of work, John and I are very familiar with this, and we are dealing with this nonstop on a daily. So, 114 is worded, or was worded when we did our ballots, for the seller or transfer of firearms, which is a lie, and you were supposed to check no if that was what you wanted. Now, I've talked about trickery and how they word things. This was designed to make people think that if they wanted something, they needed to check no, or they needed to check yes. Everything in there was worded just wrong. So they made it sound like if you wanted to keep your freedoms, you better check yes. Well, that really wasn't the case. It's all about that trickery that goes on. So, in less than 30 days, basically all sales are going to cease. And then you're going to need to get permission to purchase a firearm. This is something that is being talked about nonstop all over Southern Oregon. Now, I will tell you that most of Oregon is quite rural. Most of Oregon is pretty conservative, except for the Portland area. Now, many years ago, Portland was a really, I think it was even voted one of the best big cities. It was kind of a cool area. People wanted to check it out. And then, in the past just few years, you heard about it on the news quite a bit. We had the worst governor, and that was talked about, I think, all across our nation. And we had riots and stabbings and defunding the police, and everything under the sun that was negative was happening in Portland. It was a shame and a disgrace for everybody else. However, that city is such a large city that it was basically infecting the entire rest of the state. What do I mean by that? They would vote one way And it didn't matter how many people in the rest of the state voted opposite, our votes just weren't counting. Not to mention the fact that magically a lot of votes keep popping up in the middle of the night on certain items. And not in the way of the conservative rest of the state. So I did some research, and did you know that over $2 million were spent to facilitate against having these certain gun rights? Now they made it, said one commercial I saw every single day. It was such a good ploy. They said, well, you know, the guy, it was his brother, and you know, you don't know what it's like to get that phone call that he had been shot. Okay, well, first of all, I'm sorry, I correct myself. You don't know what it's like to have them come to the door to tell you your brother's been shot. I'm here to tell you, first of all, that was from 2012 where the laws were completely different. Second of all, the law enforcement is going to go to the next of kin or his wife that they also talk about in the video. They're not going to randomly show up at his brother's house. So there was a lot of campaigning and ads. Like I said, over $2 million spent to put towards that bill. But there was only about $40,000 put towards defending our rights. And I gotta be honest with you, like, where were all these big gun advocacy companies? Where were these national companies that always step up and help people when they're trying to defend their Second Amendment rights? Where were they? They weren't here. They were not in Oregon. They were not defending us. They were not helping us. Now, this vote went through on a very narrow margin. I'm actually quite shocked that it did as good as it really did. It was, I almost wonder if something didn't happen, you know, in the middle of the night, because it stood at one level. I mean, less than 1% away. That is how close it was. So we have, calling it, that's what they call it, common sense or reasonable gun control. So for those of you that are not aware, Oregon already has some of the strictest laws when it comes to your firearms. We already have an extensive background check that has to be done. And if you're a concealed handgun holder, again, you're having another check done. They're very, very good about it. Now, the only time that you can receive a firearm without going through a background check is if it's a direct family member. So like a father gives one to his son. And that's about it. To my knowledge, I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure I think I'm 100% correct on there. So we already have this really, really strict laws here about firearms, and yet they want to make it stronger. So this new firearm law is banning anything that holds over 10 rounds, any 10 round or more magazine. Now I can tell you that singles out my concealed carry. That conceals out half of my what I have, you know, what we have, what our friends have, what our family members have, what our neighbors have. Like, everybody is affected by this, because in today's society, a lot of manufacturers sell the guns already with 10 rounds or more. You can get them less, but there's quite a few. Now, there is some exceptions. I believe it is the lever action and the lever action 22 and anything that would be classified as an antique. I believe those are the exception to the rules, and that is it. But I know there's some very old guns from the 1900s that came standard as a 10 round, and they would be considered banned with this. Gosh. So there's a few things. So already you have to have this background check that would go on. But then you also have to get a permit. You have to go through registration, and you're going to go in a public database. Now, classroom and range courses are going to have to be provided by local law enforcement, and I believe it was set up to go only through the sheriff's office. Now, I can tell you that there is already a funding issue for every sheriff's office in, I'm pretty sure our whole state, honestly. And when we don't have the funding that they need, how are they going to facilitate? This is like a whole new level. And there's so many people that have their backgrounds right now in Oregon in the database waiting for their approvals to come through. We have people, I mean, they call it like the queue, and it's already got, I think it's over 15,000 people waiting. They might not get it before December 8th, which means they won't be able to purchase a firearm. Everybody and their mother is trying to finalize and wrap up and buy anything they can right now, hoping that they will be grandfathered in. Now, I should reiterate that law enforcement also has to go through these classes. All CHL holders who already have taken a class have to go through yet another class. And any FFL holder will also have to go through these classes. That means every person that has a firearm is going to have to go through it. Now, I started thinking about this a little bit, and we really, John and I really like seeing young kids getting into shooting and firearms and learning how to hunt and get their own food and, do their own thing. Like, I just love it. I think it's wonderful. We even went to the Second Amendment rally they had a couple of years ago in Salem at the Capitol. It was wonderful. It was such a great group of people. Everybody was super friendly. I mean, we had a really good time. So I think about these young kids, and let's say we have, as an example, we have a kiddo that is 17, is going to be turning 18 here in February. We're just giving this as an example. And they've decided that they'd like to learn how to shoot. Okay, that sounds awesome. Well, they wanted to learn how to shoot a pistol so that when the time comes, they can get a concealed handgun and carry just like everybody else. Okay, that sounds awesome. But here's the thing. They're not going to be able to go down and buy one. Nope, not going to happen. They're not going to be able to buy one. Not only that, because those 10 rounds will not be legal that are coming in the guns that everybody else in the United States can currently buy. They're not going to be able to do that. So, I mean, you think about it and you think, okay, well, this kid, the reason why this kid can't buy one is they can't have the 10 round. Okay, so what if they find something with a 5 round? Okay. Well, you got to be able to take that 5 round. You've got to be able to go and take the registration, and then you've got to go down to a range and you've got to get certified by a member of law enforcement that says you're proficient in it. But wait, you can't actually touch that gun because you didn't already have it before the date of December 8th. Let that sink in a minute. If you don't already have it, you won't be able to get it. There is so many back-end loopholes on this that are going to prevent people moving forward from being able to purchase firearms. That's cutting out the whole next generation. Gone. Completely cutting them out. That means their Second Amendment rights are already gone before they even got them. Now, the other crazy thing is there's a national database that's going to come with this that law enforcement is also going to be responsible for keeping up. This database is going to be accessible to anybody. It's open to the public, and it's going to also contain all of your personal private information. Your name, your address, what you got. Like, there's too much information that really doesn't need to be out there. We already got a problem with identity theft. I mean, so the one thing that they're saying is, oh, well, you can carry your 10 round SIG 365, okay, only on your own property. That's your grandfathered in. So if I have my concealed carry on my hip or in my purse and I walk off my property, then I'm in violation. That is what it's saying. So yes, you technically would be grandfathered in, but you won't be able to really use it if you walk anywhere. So what is the point of a concealed carry? It's to protect yourself because you have the right to bear arms. They're taking this right completely away. Now, the other thing this is doing is we know it's taking away from real crimes, so law enforcement will be so tied up, but that's part of that whole taking away and putting it into social whatever. But I've heard a couple different sheriff's office now talking about the burden of proof. So what this means is you're going to need to provide absolute 100% burden that is your weapon and you had it before December 8th. So what does that mean? You're going to have to take pictures with timestamps and the serial number of every single thing that you have. Most likely email it to yourself so it has extra dating on it, because quite frankly, you will not be able to prove that otherwise afterwards, unless you have a receipt and you have all this paperwork. But a lot of times people lose that stuff. So you're going to have to make that extra effort to have that stuff beforehand so that they can't come and confiscate it from you. There's all these, like I said, it's just a loophole after a loophole after a loophole, making sure that little by little that right is taken away. Now, this is the first step. There was a whole progression of other things to come on the next cycle of voting. Now, like I said, if this happens in this state, and all the state is red, however, Portland decides for everybody, and they are bluer than blue. They are so blue, it's blinding. And you know, they're taking this away from everybody, and they're affecting law enforcement's rights to be able to get out and do what they're there to do. I mean, they're there to protect. They want to help you. They want to keep criminals off the street, and their hands are constantly being tied. They're there to help, not to sit there and try to act like dictators, taking everybody's information so that we can have our firearms that may or may not be taken away anyway. In addition to that, this when everything goes through on December 8th and it ceases all fires, this will get wrapped up in courts, and we don't know how long it could happen. This could take years of not being able to buy a firearm or transfer or do anything else. So when I say that just because it's happening in Oregon doesn't mean it doesn't affect other people, oh honey, it does. I just really implore you guys to pay attention, because as we talked about other rights slowly disappearing, it's kind of like they get you prepared for one thing and then they hop another one on there, and then they get you prepared for that and then they throw another one on there, and they're spending all this money, over $2 million, so that they could take away your rights, and now they're gone. You really got to pay attention to what you're voting on. And unfortunately, Oregon is a mail-in state. We don't have any in-person. We can't go down and just go in a booth and fill in the bubbles and drop it in the thing. Nope, we don't do that here. We haven't for a long time. So you really got to pay attention. And I don't know what's going to come of this. I don't know what will happen to everybody. I don't know what kind of unrest this is going to cause so many people, but I can tell you that it is going to affect everybody. Absolutely. You know, like I said, we've got the strictest background checks in the country, and that wasn't enough, and they're going to take more. What will be next? So I know that was kind of a lot, but Hopefully it puts things into a little bit of perspective for you and really gets you thinking about how things are going, and it'll probably stop a lot of people from wanting to move here. But anyway, so that was 114 going into effect in Oregon on December 8th, and hopefully we can provide you with some more information here in a couple of weeks. But you know, just keep us in our thoughts and really pay attention to what happens in your state. All right, guys, thanks very much for watching. We really do appreciate it. Please make sure you like the video and share it, because we really got to spread the word and the information so that it's out there for everybody. Have a great day.